just waking up when the silence was shattered by the blows of a battering ram. Federal agents burst into homes that seemed to be living ordinary lives. But behind those doors hid a Venezuelan cartel that had been poisoning entire states for years. The FBI, ICE, and DEA carried out one of the largest synchronized raids of the decade. 2,500 agents moved in at the same time, and this was only the beginning. The arrest took place in the Houston suburb of The Woodlands, one of the quietest and wealthiest areas in the state. Here, in a town that no one would ever associate with drug trafficking, the director of a major regional bank had been laundering millions for the Venezuelan cartel for years. Its location made his home an ideal point in the scheme. Houston is a key transportation corridor between the Gulf of Mexico and distribution networks, and a significant portion of both contraband and financial flows passes through it. During the search, agents seized heroin, methamphetamine, an arsenal of weapons, and $62 million in cash. Proof that the banker wasn't just a middleman, but a central link in the operation. The raid became part of a multi-state investigation stretching from Texas to Arizona and Florida, already described as the biggest strike against the Venezuelan cartel in recent years. What began as a routine financial audit quickly turned into one of the most high-profile investigations of the year. A few months ago, federal agents received an anonymous report. A high-ranking Texas banker is suddenly showing sharp spikes in wealth, likely due to laundering money for a foreign criminal organization. At first, the information didn't seem explosive, but the details were troubling enough for it to be forwarded to the joint FBI-DEA-HSI investigative task force. This interagency group had already spent a year working cases tied to Venezuelan drug cartels seeking to move their financial hubs into the United States, where oversight seemed weaker and profits more stable. For the first several months, agents worked quietly, reviewing transactions, monitoring corporate registries, checking import declarations of companies that might be linked to the banker. Then, inconsistencies began to appear. Payments from crypto wallets registered in Panama and Colombia, accounts opened under companies that existed only on paper, imports of laboratory reagents that had nothing to do with banking, and strange bursts of cash injections that no legitimate business could explain. Everything changed when the team received a court order to wiretap 2 phones, the banker's and his wife's. That's when the true scale of the scheme became clear. The wife, as agents discovered, was not just an influential woman from Venezuela, as her husband introduced her. She turned out to be the daughter of one of the leaders of a Venezuelan cartel that controlled drug shipments across Central America. Her family had long been searching for a safe channel to move tens of millions of dollars generated from trafficking heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. And she was the one who first pulled the banker into the game. The wiretap revealed that the couple was essentially running the cartel's financial wing inside the United States. The banker handled cash legalization, routed transfers through controlled accounts, and erased digital traces, while his wife coordinated money couriers and communicated with her father and other cartel members. Over time, the investigation deepened. DEA units carried out several controlled buys. Undercover agents obtained small drug shipments to trace the routes of money flow. HSI analyzed import schemes and the movement of empty shipping containers used to transport cash and restricted chemicals. Meanwhile, FBI cyber specialists uncovered a crucial component: the cartel's complex crypto economy. Money entered the U.S. through couriers, was divided into small batches, converted into Bitcoin and Monero, and then funneled into offshore funds and shell companies registered under nominal directors. Fake documents, from contracts for medical reagent supplies to fabricated investment agreements, created the illusion of legality. Part of the cryptocurrency was immediately converted into cash and reinvested into real Texas businesses: restaurants, car dealerships, repair companies. On paper, it looked like booming entrepreneurship. In reality, it was a laundering machine. Surveillance lasted nearly 9 months. Agents had to move with extreme caution. The banker had access to internal banking systems, knew exactly how transaction monitoring worked, and would have instantly detected any clumsy movement. But over time, the investigation closed in. The trigger came when the couple attempted to move another $14 million offshore under the guise of an investment into a Venezuelan infrastructure project. The documents they submitted were sloppily forged, and that was enough for the task force to understand. The family was preparing to flee. The decision was made to act immediately. A week later, a tactical team stormed their home. Inside, heroin, methamphetamine, weapons, crypto wallets, laptops with encrypted storage files, and $62 million in cash. Everything confirmed that this wasn't just a family conspiracy. It was the financial heart of the cartel. Parallel to the banker's arrest, federal agents delivered another blow that exposed a different side of the cartel infrastructure: corrupt law enforcement. As part of simultaneous raids, 28 Texas police officers were detained after working for years not for the state, but for the narco mafia. These individuals had access to databases, operational intelligence, and internal communication channels. And because of that, the cartel was able to move its shipments almost without obstruction. The scheme was simple, yet lethally effective. The consulting payments these officers received were, in reality, bribes disguised as legal or security services. Police officers sold information about upcoming raids, mobile checkpoints, patrol schedule changes, and even the movement routes of special units. If DEA or HSI were preparing an operation in a specific area, the cartel knew about it hours in advance. In exchange for payment, these same officers covered key transport arteries. They redirected patrols to other districts, altered their unit routes, or simply didn't notice suspicious vans carrying drugs, illegal migrants, or weapons. Some officers even escorted cartel trucks along certain stretches of highway, creating the appearance of legitimate transport. The cartel's model was built with meticulous detail. Shipments traveled from Venezuela through Central America into Mexico, where the product was mixed in clandestine labs. Fentanyl was processed, pills were pressed, heroin was packaged, all prepared for shipment into the United States. Then came the Texas Corridor, one of the most critical links in the drug pipeline. On the Texas side, the operation functioned like a multi-layered factory. Suppliers, cartel couriers who moved drugs across the border. They were equipped with fake documents, GPS jammers, rotating license plates, and cash for instant bribes if needed. Mixers, underground labs in Texas where chemical technicians diluted fentanyl, blended methamphetamine, processed heroin, and prepared new batches. These labs often hid behind auto parts warehouses or private garages. Storage chains, a network of facilities in San Antonio, El Paso, Lubbock, and the outskirts of Houston. Here, the shipments were sorted, repackaged, and prepared for further distribution. The same properties served as holding sites for migrants trafficked by the cartel. Some were kept under armed threat and forced to work at these transfer hubs. Distributors, local dealer networks receiving the ready product. Part of the packaged drugs went to interior states, Colorado, Illinois, Iowa, while another part moved toward the East Coast. Loads traveled under the cover of legitimate trucking companies with forged invoices and certificates. Financing, a separately engineered, highly efficient component. The money was funneled back to Venezuela through cryptocurrency. Payments were broken into hundreds of small transfers scattered across dozens of exchanges. Police informants ensured that no large movement triggered financial monitoring alerts. Technological contraband, a new layer of the operation. Alongside drugs came microchips, radio frequency equipment parts, encryption modules, and even laboratory instruments. The cartel resold them in South America or used them to upgrade its own infrastructure. Encrypted communication networks, modified cargo vehicles, and hidden server nodes. This model was dangerous not only because of its scale, though that alone was staggering. Each major fentanyl shipment passing through Texas contained potentially millions of lethal doses. The deeper threat was its durability. It could run indefinitely. With corrupt police, underground labs, powerful financial channels, and a spiderweb network of warehouses.